Start streaming. You didn't hit start streaming yet.
Hi guys, it's Heidi here from Costume Co. Sorry about that. We had a little technical trouble there. So just let me know if you can see me and in the chat, and hopefully the sound is okay. You might have noticed I had somebody in here helping me. That was my husband. So anyway, I want to do some shout outs. I see a bunch of people here in the chat. This is so awesome. So we've got AU Pack Mule, Lost for Words, Danielle Marston, Courtney Yu. She is an amazing artist. Lost for Words, Chrissy of Old Stones. RPM Nexus Gaming said, hello, saw your post in Discord. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And we've got Holly, the Fantastic Joe. Hey, how you doing? Haley Marie, whoa, whoa, cool name. Pegblight Pete, who's one of my Patreons. Thank you. The Fantastic Joe. And Justin from the Justin Thomas Show is here. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. We've got Samid Sand, Cindy Cox, Waldane Martinez, Tanya Pavlovsky. Sorry, guys, if I'm saying any names wrong. And anyway, so I want to thank all of you for coming for my first live stream. I'm Heidi. This is Costume Co. You probably know my name, but you might not know my face because I always do voiceovers. I don't actually have my face on camera for the videos. So anyway, I wanted to start off. I did a little shout out asking for people to submit some questions to me, the types of things that they wanted to know about what goes on either in the wardrobe or what a costume designer does, that type of thing. And the first thing I wanted to tell you, this just happened this week, it's very exciting for me, is that I had Marvel Canada. If any of you don't know this, I live up in Canada, in Toronto. And actually, we're getting a nice storm right now, so if we lose power, that's what's going on there. But they approached me about doing an interview with Ruth, I was going to say Ruth Cox. Sorry, it's Ruthie Carter. She's the costume designer for Black Panther. So I'm going to have that coming up. So I'm really excited. And in the next few weeks, I'm going to do an interview with her. And so if any of you actually have any questions for her, let me know. And then I can always build that into the questions I'll be asking her. So again, just let me know how the sound is and so on, and picture quality. Okay. So to start off, one of the things I did this week actually is there was something interesting that came up about historical accuracy in a show, whether that's important to a production like a feature film or a television show. And, you know, whether it's the costume designer's job to actually make sure that it's historically accurate, or is it just their job to, you know, find the character through the design. They might want to show symbolism or tell the story. So what I did is I did just, you know, like a really random little thing on Twitter asking people. I got about 20 people or so who responded. So this is really cool. So these are my stats. It's very like, you know, it's, you know, it's not a professional survey by any means. So this is what I got. So I got 27% of you said that historical accuracy is very important to you. So that was interesting. 12% think that it's telling the story that's more important. And then 61% of you said that both were important. And, you know, that's sort of where I sort of fit in there. I used to sort of think, no, you know, historical accuracy isn't as important. But obviously, and I've talked about this in some of my videos like Rain, that if, you know, you see a zipper and it's supposed to be 17th century, that's obviously going to look really weird. Oh, and Robert's here from In Deep Geek, everybody. I'm so glad he's here. So both Robert and Justin, Robert from In Deep Geek and Justin from the Justin Thomas Show, they both do amazing work doing analysis of Game of Thrones and Westworld, which you probably know are two of my, you know, absolute favorite shows. And then Justin is also doing Peaky Blinders, which he's trying to get me to watch. So I've watched the very first episode, but I still have quite a ways to go on that. And so I'm hoping to have both of them on the show on my live stream, as well as AAU Pack Mule. Hopefully have him on. And so anyways, if you guys have suggestions for future live streams, you know, this is the first one, then let me know. Oh, and I just want to do a shout out. My son is here. Leland Loney, Super Mario versus Thomas. That's my son. And he has a really awesome YouTube channel called Leland Loney Super Mario versus Thomas. He's actually got 20,000 subscribers. It's like unbelievable. Oh, and actually it says Graydon's using it. So that's my youngest is in here too. So that's really nice. I'm getting some support from my family. And as well, I want to say a shout out to my husband, Jack, who helped me like with this setup. Like he helped me get all this together. Like I don't know anything about tech. So I don't know anything about lighting or doing the cameras. He did this really cool thing behind here, which I don't even know how to do this, where the monitor is right here with my logo on it, which looks really great. And then he gave me this like man in black for my birthday, which is a little pop figure. So cute, huh? So anyway, so let's get to the questions, guys. All right, so I got some really great questions for you. So the first one comes from Dollar Dude, who is one of my buddies, my YouTuber buddies, creators, and his real name's Troy. So I don't think he's here, but let's ask the question. So this is what he says, and it's actually a very profound question. He says, in period works, at what point does historical accuracy become detrimental to the plot? Would a perfect design be defined by walking the line but never crossing it? If not, how would you define it? Well, wow, I was just like totally blown away when I saw this question. So basically, this is sort of how I feel about it. So when the costume designer gets the script for a production that they're working on, their first sort of priority is to tell the story. After reading the script, and then they will normally meet with the production designer and they will meet with the director, and that's sort of what their job is to fulfill their sort of wishes, so the director's wishes and also the production designer. So in the case of, let's say, Ruth Carter, who designed Black Panther, she came into a Marvel experience, and it was totally different than anything she had ever done because the production designer had basically planned out a huge amount of the story already, the world of Wakanda, and the Ryan Coogler had already sort of made decisions regarding the design, and also the concept people from Marvel had already created a lot of it. So she came in already sort of like being told this is how it's gonna work, and then from there she had to sort of pick it up and take off. And then the other aspect that the designer has is obviously once they've created the look and the design of the show, then building it and having it look like what their designs look like. Sort of what happens is the creative team signs off on the renderings or the sketches or so on, and then it has to actually look like that in the end, unless along the way they make some decisions and decide that it's not going to look like that. So where historical accuracy comes in is that the costume designer would do research and if it's a period production as opposed to a contemporary production, which is something that we have in our own timeline, and then with the director, with the production designer, with even sometimes the producers, they'd have to make decisions on what was going to happen there. So I've always oftentimes given leeway to designers who want to go into a more, what they call it, anachronistic area. They want to go into a different sort of area where historical costumes are concerned. If you just saw my the one that I just did on American Gods, clearly there's a character. He's on a slave ship and he's wearing what looks kind of like a zoot suit. I mean, that's obviously not from that period of time, which would have been like the 18th century, but that was a design decision, and I actually agreed with that decision. I thought it was an awesome decision because it's sort of a supernatural story, so it doesn't have to be exactly like we see in like we would see in the real world, let's say. So before I go into any more questions, I have a few other people who have just come in. We've got Grace Huckbee. Hi, Grace. And Aaron says, I have those exact same glasses. Hi, Aaron. Aaron is one of my first viewers, and he's an amazing designer. He is always sending me pictures of some of the designs that he does. He has an amazing grandmother who was actually a nurse in World War II. And so when I was doing Outlander, he actually sent me some of her information about that, being a nurse in World War II, which is so cool. So hi, Aaron. And then we've also got Johnny Be Crazy. And Sonia. Hi, Sonia. And then I think that I've caught up here. So thanks, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate it. So next, we've got a really great question from Lindsay. She's one of my Twitter followers. She says, do you think the costumes should help tell a story? So that goes back to sort of a little bit what I was saying about historical, accuracy. So absolutely. And if any of you follow any of my Game of Thrones videos, you will know that Michelle Clapton, who is the costume designer for Game of Thrones, she tells a story amazingly through the costumes from like day one, from the very beginning. So again, she stated in interviews that she starts with a script and then she works her way through the script. And then again, she obviously consults with the showrunners, Dave and Dan. But there's an enormous amount of symbolism. There's an enormous amount of storytelling that's going on through her costumes. And, they don't just have to be beautiful. She sort of isn't going for that. She's really trying to convey the character. She's trying to convey the story. So for sure, absolutely, that's true. So next, I have Ruan Kitchener. She's actually, I think it's Ruan. She's actually a really talented lingerie designer. And she contacted me through social media. So this is her question. She says, how do you feel about modern designer pieces being used in period movies, i.e. the Mary Katranzu top in The Greatest Showman, which I'm sorry, I haven't seen that movie there, Ruan, or the Converse shoes in Marie Antoinette. And I mean, so this is a little bit of a, this is a little bit maybe of a controversial thing. I personally love it. Like Marie Antoinette, that was fantastic. I love that little placement of the Converse shoes. So if any of you don't know, Marie Antoinette, it's starring Kirsten Dunst, and she's playing Marie Antoinette, and it's a 18th century. Like, the costumes are stunning. I've been meaning to do a video about it, but there's one sort of, it's almost like an Easter egg. She placed these Converse shoes like sort of at the head or feet, and it's sort of like, they caught it. So one of my favorite movies is A Knight's Tale, and they have some contemporary pieces in there, and I actually really like it. So, and I've talked about this on my review of Rain. Rain is one of those movies that shows, I should say, that I don't think did a good job with regarding placing contemporary designer pieces like Alexander McQueen and so on within an historical setting. So that to me was, if you saw my video, it was kind of a failure, in my humble opinion. Lots of people love the show, and I'm not trying to take anything away from that about that, but that was just my opinion. So anyway, the next question is, and this is a really great question. It's a very simple question, but it's really good. So Professor Cecily, she's one of my long-term viewers. She's a huge Game of Thrones fan. She has to work, so she's not able to be here, but she has a question. And her question she wants to know about the cleaning and care of historical and theatrical costumes. So Cecily, I'm not an historian. So I know that there is specific procedures that's done in terms of historical costumes. So, but in terms of theatrical costumes are actually cleaned fairly similarly to the way we clean everyday clothes. So the actors are always wearing a foundation garment of some sort. It's usually with ACTRA, which is the union in Canada, or with SAG, which is the union in the United States. They have to always have a garment next to their body that is cleaned regularly. So socks, underwear, undershirts, that type of bodysuits, that type of thing have to be cleaned on a regular basis, on a daily basis. And then the other costumes, so if it's something that's delicate, it might be hand washed, it might be dry cleaned. What we've done sometimes is I've used vodka, which is like, and why we use vodka is because it's an alcohol and it has very little odor. So what it does is when you spray the garment with alcohol, it kills the bacteria, and then the alcohol eventually evaporates into the air, and then you don't have a smell, and it's just dry. So we use that in between. The other thing is we use, this is kind of gross, but we use what are called pit pads, which go into the underarm. It's basically kind of, you can buy them actually at regular stores. Pit shields are sometimes called as well. So they have like they create a barrier between the underarm and the garment. So in a historical garment, they would put them in, they would be taken out and then laundered regularly. They can be washed in a machine. And then a lot of items, like I said, if they're really delicate, they'd have to be dry cleaned. And if it has like beading or sequins or something, sometimes those actually have to be taped so that they don't melt. The dry cleaner can actually, it will melt the garments. So before I go on here, I just want to check and see if there's any comments here. She said, let them eat cake and wear Converse. Yes. Justin, that's true. Did Marie Antoinette said that? That's hilarious. And then Grace says, I'm so into makeup and costuming, and I'm even in performing arts. That's awesome. Let's see what else we have to say here. I, for one, suck at makeup. Laugh out loud, said Erin. That's okay, Erin, because you make beautiful garments. You don't need to be good at makeup. And then Peg Like Pete says, I collect Navajo rugs and I like clothing you have to find an expert to clean. Yeah, absolutely. So that type of thing, there are special dry cleaners that deal with delicate, I know there's one theater dry cleaner that I worked with, they dealt with special types of garments. For instance, like, you know, silks and so on can be really, really delicate. And the other thing is if something has like sweat in it and then you send it to the dry cleaner can sometimes actually set the sweat. So they actually have to pre-clean it ahead of time. Yes, Chrissy, I said pit pads. Okay, and then says there must be different rules in the UK as some of the Game of Thrones costumes don't get clean. Yeah, so that's probably true. So for instance, if it's a particular garment, they would have a foundation garment under it, and then the foundation garment would be the item that would get cleaned on a regular basis. So for sure the armor wouldn't get cleaned. And also like things like tabards, like if it's a leather tabard or some type of like a harder garment, that could just even be wiped clean, you know. But if it's been broken down, they're not going to want to clean it, right? And Michelle Clapton has even said that some of the stuff just like reeks. You can just smell it through the screen pretty much. So she might even like that authenticity. But as I mentioned, they do have to launder the undergarments. And Marie said, didn't say let them eat cake. Is that a rumor? I'm not even sure. Can sequins be applied with machines or is it all by hand? Okay. When you buy sequins on fabric, it is machine applied. And you can sew sequin fabric, but normally what you have to do is you have to pick back the sequin so that you can actually stitch it, because you might actually break the needle. I have, like in a pinch, I have actually sewed it. You need a really good needle though in your machine. And but generally speaking, most times when you're doing, you know, decorative work, it's usually done by hand. And that was one of my very first jobs I ever had. When I was 15, I was working in a theater company in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And all I did was sew sequins. It was like very labor intensive, but it was a really amazing experience just being able to be at the theater every day as a 15-year-old. So who else says? Always saying that stars always saying they stole a coat or a dress from a movie they were in. It like seems like they would let these huge stars have them if they want it. Is it really that strict they have to steal them? Okay, well normally, oh yeah, so an actor doesn't own their garment that they wear in a show. So like for instance, on productions that I've worked at, how it works normally, if it's something like for instance Game of Thrones, they're not going to sell the garments because they're going to go on tour, right? But if let's say if it's a regular production, the actor is usually able to buy the costume back at about half price. And then whatever, if they're not going to send the stuff on tour, they just want to get rid of it, they usually have what are called wardrobe sales to the public, but the actor gets first you know, bid on it. And now there might be occasion where production does give the actor something, but actually, yeah, just because they're in it doesn't mean that they get it. So that's usually how it works. So I'm gonna I have a couple more questions here. Oh, actually I just have one more. Many more? No, I have two. Okay, so I've got one from Black Witch, and she says, in Westworld, she's asking about Maeve's kimono. What shall we watch for by way of symbolism, color pattern on Japanese clothing storytelling? All right, guys, so I'm going to try doing this. Hopefully this works. I've got this slide here. Okay, so there's Maeve wearing her kimono. So okay, so just first off, if any of you weren't watching Westworld, it's a show. It's on HBO. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite shows. And Maeve is one of the central characters, and we're moving into season 2. So what's happening is they're going to have this thing called Shogun World, which is, it takes place in the Edo period. And the Edo period is between 1603 and 1868. It's a 300-year period, actually. And Edo is the ancient name for Tokyo. So regarding Maeve's outfit, she's wearing a kimono and an obi. And underneath she's wearing what's called a kasode, which is kind of like an under kimono. And so this is sort of just what I found. That so during this period, the original kimono or kasode had shorter sleeves, so they lengthened the sleeves and the obis got wider. And so now this is the problem I have, guys. So the pictures here, I mean, they're so low res. It's from a trailer. Someone took this from a trailer. The this type of pattern it looks like it might be chrysanthemum, but honestly it could be anything. So if it is chrysanthemum, the chrysanthemum is a really popular pattern in Japanese fabric, and it says that it's a flower that symbolizes longevity, and the chrysanthemum is supposed to be an autumn flower. However, this pattern can be used regardless of the season. And it also appears that her kimono is dyed with what is called the use and resist dyeing technique, although like our own fashions, Japanese fashion changed over decades during the Edo period. And then I've got this other picture here that I was going to show you. This is actually from the trailer as well. And I did not know this, but according to this article I found, there were only 3 colors of makeup allowed. So there was the face powder, the white face powder like we see here, although Maeve's not wearing it. And then there would be black for the eyebrows. And apparently they would also blacken their teeth, which is strange. And then Beni, which is a luxurious shade of red derived from the Benibana safflower pigment. And it looks green a bit when it looks green, they say. When it dries, it turns an almost magically bright red color. So, anyway, Black Witch, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to be doing a video on this in the future. Just hopefully when I have better, better pictures. Am I back here? Here I am. Hopefully when I have some better pictures, I can, have a better analysis of that. So that's just a little, rough going over that. And, you guys probably know this from my tweeting and stuff that I'm really excited to see the Westworld, because there's going to be Shogun World, and I'm going to get to see lots of samurais, obviously. The one thing I was a little bit disappointed at, I just found out last week that Anne Crabtree, who was the costume designer for Westworld, and she's also the costume designer for, oh my gosh, what's it called? The Handmaid's Tale. An amazing talent she is. She's not returning. They've actually hired another costume designer to do it. And so we'll just have to see how that's going to look. So I'm kind of excited, but a little nervous because I thought Anne Crabtree was doing an amazing job. So I have one more question, and then if there's any questions in the chat, we can get to those, okay? So here it is. And this is from Courtney, and I think she's here. Hi, Courtney. She says, this is a great question. Is it possible to be a costume designer without sewing the costumes yourself? A mentor recently encouraged me to look at that career path, but I don't know much about that role. I love costumes, but I can't sew. So what I told her is, like, for instance, the costume designer of Outlander, Terry Dresbach, cannot sew at all. Which, it sounds really, really strange, but you have to remember that a lot of costume designers don't come from, like, say, a wardrobe department. They don't move their way up, and some do. A lot of them come either out of design school. Like, for instance, I was mentioning Ruth Carter. She came out of theater like I did, and she just sort of moved her way up and then eventually kind of went into doing film. And she said she didn't even know anything about designers or anything. She just was sort of like, thought it was a fun thing to do, to get into doing costumes. So she actually didn't have any kind of like sewing background at all. And like I said, neither does Terry Dresbach. So how that works is, you really, you're kind of like, you have to have an illustration background for sure. You have to be able to draw. And you don't even have to be that great of an artist. I've actually worked with some costume designers who aren't even that great of artists. But you have to have that sort of vision. The one aspect of knowing a little bit about sewing is knowing how construction works, because that's really, really important. So a lot of costume designers, they don't know how to sew, but they have an understanding of how construction works, and they have an understanding of how all that works. So, so I hope that answers that question. So no, Courtney, if you want to become a costume designer, you should totally look into it. You're an amazing illustrator, and I think you could do awesome. And also, you have a really great understanding of costumes, because I've senior interpretation that you've taken. Let's say if you're analyzing a costume, you have this amazing ability to translate that. So I can tell that you do have that knowledge there. So I would say for sure, go for it. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a sip of water. I've got my Costume Co mug here. So if you can see it, it's got my logo on it. I just got that a couple of weeks ago. So cheers, guys. All right. So let me look and see what questions we have here. Yes, great mysteries and storyline. This is Grace. And how they explain how his signature hat came along. Okay, so Grace, I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Oh, you guys are talking about Sherlock Holmes, it looks like. Okay, I want some cowboy costumes, says 30-day reviews. Okay. You should cover Downton Abbey in the future. It would be awesome to see your take on it. Okay, so I have watched 3 seasons of Downton Abbey. You guys probably, I get a lot of requests, and what happens is I have to tell you, I'm watching like 10 shows probably at once. Like, I watch a lot of shows, but the problem with a production is that it takes forever. For instance, I've just watched the first season. Oh, I can't even remember the show. Sorry. So Downton Abbey, I've watched 3 seasons of that. I watched 1 episode of Vikings. I watched 1 episode of Peaky Blinders. So like a lot of the times I get way behind and I don't even get to it. So, you know, I get these requests and then I try to say, okay, yes, I'd love to do that show. But oftentimes, like, it might even take me 6 months by the time I get to see the show. So one of the viewers, she wanted me to watch, I can't remember the show now. It's like a new show that just came out, like a detective show. And she's been bugging me to watch that. So when people ask me, I do for sure put them on my list. So I will do Mary on Downton Abbey. That's probably for sure. I'm planning on doing that. So look for that. I'll probably announce it when I'm going to do it. Okay, so next. Yeah, I have to make about 6 more costumes, says Aaron. And Aaron, what he does is usually he'll email me the costumes once he does it, and then I try to put it up on Twitter. And also I have a Facebook page, guys, so if you ever want to see some of the viewers' costume designs and you know, either their designs or their realized costumes, I also have some amazing cosplayers, like professional cosplayers, that I'll feature as well. So if you ever, and I'm hoping to get some of them on the show. So if you want to check out my Facebook page, you can look at that. I have a couple of like Tatiana Melendez, for instance. I've got all of her costumes designs that she's been sending to me like for the last year and a half. Like, it's amazing. Oh, The Tudors. That's what it was. The Tudors. Yeah. So I've watched 1 season of The Tudors and I've had like about 100 people ask me to do it. So I'll try to get to that. And Courtney says, thanks for answering my question. My pleasure, Courtney. You're so sweet. Thanks for all your encouragement. Aw, you're sweet too, honey. Okay. Good costumers have good understanding about how different fabrics work. Yes, absolutely, they do. And, you know, a lot, okay, this is one of the things I was going to tell you. So even if a costume designer doesn't sew, a lot of them will have some kind of talent that they have. Like, so they might be really good at dyeing and painting, for instance. A lot of them like to get their hands dirty, so they might want to get in on that. And a lot of them might also do like set production, like they'll do that as well. So for instance, the costume designer for American Gods, she's also a production designer. So she has a knowledge of doing sets, not just costumes. And then I've also worked with costume designers who do lighting. They'll do lighting and costumes. So some of them have like multiple skills that they might have. So someone says, good costumers have a good energy. Oh, I already read that. What is your favorite fashion era? Oh, that's a good question. It's a bit hard. I think Jane Austen is one of my favorite eras. I kind of went on this like huge Jane Austen kick. I watched every like Jane Austen story. One of the ones, of course, that's really famous is the one on A&E with Colin Firth, and where he plays Mr. Darcy. You guys probably know that one. That was one of my absolute favorites. I also like, I like sort of like the Roaring Twenties. I do like medieval, but I think it's like, for me, medieval has been really romanticized, but I think it's actually kind of a terrible time to have lived. I don't know why anybody would like sort of long for that. And speaking of that, by the way, I meant to mention to you guys while I was doing the research about Edo, Japan, which was the time period of the samurai, what a terrible time that was for women. Oh my God, you did not want to be living back then if you're a woman. Oh, someone said your Penny Dreadful work was brilliant. That was, yeah, so that is turn of the century, and the costume designer on that was just amazing. So that was one of my absolute favorite shows. What blogs, websites do you recommend for researching different historical costumes? Okay, Courtney, I'll have to look into that for you, because I do like, you're asking me to think of things, and like I just turned 51, so my brain isn't as fast as it used to be. I would say I really like, there's costumes on film. There is, okay, I'm gonna have to get back to you about this. Let me think about it. Okay. Do you know any good introductory books on fashion, for fashion terminology and history? Okay, I have a couple of books. What I'll do is next time I do a live stream, I'll show you guys my books that I have, okay? Because I just got a really good new one. And yeah, I definitely have some books I just can't tell you off the top of my head. Costume's probably the only good thing about Downton Abbey. Oh, really? You don't like it? I thought it was pretty good. Okay, that's fair. My late grandmother made some cool things, says Haley Marie. That's awesome. Do you have any pictures? If you do, send them to me. Cindy Cox says Penny Dreadful would be a good one to review as well. It only had 3 seasons. Yes, Cindy, I did Penny Dreadful. But I just did the Vanessa Ives character. I only did her. I didn't do any of the other characters. So if you're interested in some of the other characters, let me know. And then Aaron says, do you find it difficult to work with chiffon, sheer, or organza? Yes. Yes, absolutely. So Aaron, the trick with working with slippery fabrics is you need to baste. Like I learned this ages ago. Like you think you're saving time by not, doing proper, following the proper steps. But honestly, if you're going to sew with it, you need to baste it. So if you're putting chiffon as an overlay, you need to baste it to the main fabric. If you are gathering chiffon, honestly, it's almost worth it to hand gather sometimes. So that is my main suggestion for that. Whoa, are you guys going to watch Borgia? I would like to see what you think about costuming in Versailles. Okay, I haven't seen Versailles. I will add it to my list. I'm sorry, I gotta go, says Grace. Oh, bye, Grace. The Dowager Countess. Yes, absolutely. The Maggie Smith character from Downton Abbey. She's incredible. And then Samed, is it Samid? Samid Sand says Versailles has great costumes. Okay. I have watched Borgia, Faith, and Fear probably 20 times. Way too many, says the Justin Thomas Show. Let's see what else here. Thank you, Rikamono. Looking forward to exploring more about symbolism in Japanese dress. Yes, absolutely. I actually, I did, if you've seen any of my Game of Thrones videos, I think especially my, not Sansa, but my Cersei video, I actually got a lot into Japanese costume. And also in my Star Wars video, there's a huge Japanese samurai that's inspired from that. So I did actually get in a lot of Japanese. I love Japanese culture. The other continent, like, oh, sorry, not Westeros, but the other one, they do have a large population of Asian people, but unfortunately in the show, they haven't explored that area. At Yeti, I think it's called Yeti. So I would have loved it on Game of Thrones if they had explored that area more, but unfortunately they didn't. We like the same era, says Pretty Dark. Awesome. I also love Italian Renaissance. That's an amazing time period. I'm patiently waiting for your analysis of The White Princess. Yes, another show I haven't watched. Okay, guys. I'm only one person. I need a team of people to help me here. Oh, you did Penny Dreadful. Okay. And The White Queen too. Yes. My sister actually is a huge fan of the author. She loves all her. She actually is the one who made me do Outlander. She's like, you got to do Outlander. So my sister, if you call up my sister and tell her to, tell me to do The White Queen, I'll probably do it because she pressures me a lot. If we are adding shows to your long list, I'm throwing out Harlots. Somebody else asked me for Harlots. I don't know anything about it. Is it period? Is Harlots a show from like turn of the century or something? Is it like sort of call girls? Hey, Heidi, said Jamie. Hi, Jamie. Jamie Hughes is here. Jamie is, he's another creator. He does reviews of movies and he does an awesome job. He's really funny. He's a British lad. And I'm really glad you're in he says, I'm late, just got back from the cinema. See, in England, they call the movies the cinema. We call it the movies here in Canada. and probably in America as well. What book story is adapted for TV or movie you would like to work on costume design? Well, I probably American Gods. I just I just read the book, and then I saw, I blasted through season 1, and my friend Wayne is on the show, and I had a great chat with him, and he was telling me all about it. It sounds like a blast, but it's really hard work. And the cast apparently are just amazing. Like, so Ricky Whittle, who is the hot star of that show, he's apparently just a total sweetie. So, and that's being shot in Toronto. So I'm hoping I can sneak onto the set and have a look there. So that would probably be the show I'd want to go on. If one wanted to get together a cowboy outfit like a bad guy from John Wayne movie or a budget, where would be a good place to start? Okay, well, it'd be with a hat. That's 30-day reviews. So if you saw any of my Westworld videos, you would know the hat would be the place. So it's either, it's either a dark hat or a light hat. So John Wayne, being a good guy, always would wear a light hat. So it would be a Stetson. You can get them on Amazon. You can order them. There's like, if you're in the States, there's like American Outfitters that do like just, I have links actually, I think on my Westworld video. And so 30-day reviews, I can look into that for you. And then it would be a Western shirt if you want to do that. It could be a vest. It could be chaps, which are the leather covers that you would wear on your jeans. But you could just wear jeans with like a nice leather belt that would have tooling, which is that decorative kind of stuff going on, and then a nice big buckle. So hopefully that helps in the suggestion there. Sorry if I'm off air for this chat, laugh aloud. It's Georgian, says Tanya. What's Georgian? The period of something? It's funny to see a zipper in the Tudors or past eras in TV shows or movies. Okay, yeah. So that's, in my rain video, there was a zipper, and historical costumers go bonkers over stuff like that. So I'm not as I don't get as crazy about it, but it really is just a really kind of lazy way of costuming, I think. If you're going to costume the Renaissance, or in the case of the Tudors, it'd be the Tudor period, Elizabethan period, you need to use proper fasteners, and they wouldn't have used a zipper. They probably would have had just eyelets, I think. I'd have to double check on that. And they wouldn't be grommets, they would be hand-woven eyelets. So it's just sort of lazy costuming just to put a zipper in something. That's really, that's more like what we call, Halloween. Like if it's Halloween, it would have a zipper, Halloween theatrical costume as opposed to a movie costume. And then, I am Dow Jones says, I beg for a Black Panther review. So excited to get the opportunity to interview Ruth Carter. Yes, I know you did. And it's funny because I was going to do Black Panther. I'm like, I got to do Black Panther. And then I got this email from Marvel, so it just sort of worked out really well. So what I'm going to do is I think I'll combine it. I might have to do it as a two-parter. I might have to do it like, talking to her, and then I'll have to do like the analysis. But, honestly, the whole thing is just stunning. And I'm just really excited to be able to talk with her. So that'll be cool. The other Boleyn girl, also from the same author as The White Queen and Princess, also has amazing costumes with Sandy Powell as the costume designer. Yes, and honestly, I haven't seen that. So another movie I have to see. Okay, guys, I've got a huge list going here. Oh, Robert's going, bye, Robert. He says, gotta go. Great live stream, Heidi. I knew you'd be great at this. Ah, thanks so much. Okay. 30-day reviews, just go to Goodwill. Most of the clothes are very cheap, and also Salvation Army. That's a great suggestion. In Canada, we have something called Value Village. So I don't know where you live, but it's like a really great secondhand store. Lady Sybil is the star of Harlots. Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's awesome. I'm going to have to check that out. Would you consider watching Analyzing Magnificent Century, says Silver Tongue. I've actually had somebody else ask me that. It's about the Ottoman Empire during the Suleiman the Magnificent's reign, and it's on Netflix with English subtitles. Actually, I have had somebody else ask me that, so I will add that to my list for sure. Rain drove me nuts with their costume, says Cindy. Cindy, my Rain video was my most hated video. I had over 200 thumbs down, so you and I think the same way, and unfortunately some of the fans, they just adore it, and they love all the weird prom dress like costumes in it. So Holly says, yes, it was a masterpiece. Damian Lewis really made it special. Oh, what is she talking about here? Sorry, Holly, I'm not sure what you're talking about. It's crazy. Ricky Whittle used to be on soap called Hollyoaks here in the UK. Now he's killing it in American Gods. Yeah, Jamie, and I read that the girl who is from Game of Thrones, Missandei, was also on that. She played his sister. Is that right? So that's pretty cool. I'm really glad. Now, I know him from The 100, so I don't know if any of you guys like The 100, but Ricky Whittle, who plays Shadow Moon in American Gods, is from The 100, which is on the CW, like Rain. And then Harlots is 18th century London. Okay, so I guess they're sex workers, whatever you call that, in the 18th century. What's the biggest risk you think film or series has taken with their costume design that paid off? Oh my gosh. Justin, you always have the hard questions. Okay, let me think about that. Justin says Rain is garbage. Is a garbage fire. But Haley likes it. She says it's amazing. See, it's a little bit of a divisive subject. Forsyth Saga. Oh, yeah, the Forsyth Saga. Oh, my gosh. Damian Lewis and that. That was great. The costumes in that were amazing. You guys have such great taste in shows. Aaron says, Courtney, most of the times, yes, because it can give a good form on the costume and also on the actor or actress. I mean, Julia Roberts pulled a muscle in Mirror, Mirror. Oh, I'm not sure what that was about. Now, Mirror, Mirror, by the way, I am planning on doing a video on that because it is the same costume designer that did Bram Stoker's Dracula, Eiko Ishioka. So she's this amazing Japanese costume designer who passed away, and she did Mirror, Mirror. And she did The Cell. You might have seen that. And she did something else with Lee Pace. So a fantastic designer. Justin said, sorry. I'm not sorry. I like the 100 interesting costumes on there as well. I'm not sure what 30-day reviews is referring to. Braun in Game of Thrones is from a cringe-worthy pop duo called Robson and Jerome. Really? That's interesting. He's one of my favorite characters. And he's also in a great episode of Black Mirror. Have you guys all watched Black Mirror? Mirror, Mirror has amazing costumes, but the film is awful. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not... yeah, it wasn't the best movie. Although I like Armie Hammer. Hello, it's me from Doing It with Jason Livestream, says Killer Boo Boo 15. Hi, how are you? Yeah, we chatted last night. We were giving Jason a hard time, or at least I was. So for people watching Versailles, I get the production value is off the roof, but is the drama worth the time? So I'm not sure, Alexandra Sandu. She was also in, Alexandra came from Justin's stream last night, and her and I, okay, I was saying I feel like everyone kind of gets on Sansa's case, and she's a really big fan of her sister. So, but we had I think we had a nice, agreeable chat about it. It wasn't divisive at all. But I was always like, why is everyone up on Sansa's case? But I said I might have been mesmerized by all of her pretty dresses. That might have been what it was. Tanya says Versailles drama is good. Season 1 was better, but I'm excited for season 3 from the season 2 setup. Oh, Braun's also on Ripper Street. Yes, he is. And I haven't seen that, but who recommended that to me? Someone just recommended that to me, Ripper Street. So, guys, I don't know if you've seen the Frankenstein Chronicles. I'm watching that. That's really good. So I've heard Ripper Street is sort of in that same vein. The 100 is a great show, says Haley Marie. Yeah, so I watched The 100. I think I watched The 100 the first 3 seasons. I'm a huge sci-fi fan, so I love a lot. Like I just finished watching, even though it's not a costumey show, I just finished watching the Colony, which I really enjoyed. Except Lori from The Walking Dead was in it, and she was a bit annoying. So I love science fiction. That's my favorite genre. So that's why a lot of times when I get, people request a historical drama, I'm not as likely to want to do that. Like if it's something like Penny Dreadful, which has a supernatural element to it, that's why I tend to gravitate more to that type of thing. The Frankenstein Chronicles, the same thing. It kind of has a bit of a supernatural sort of feeling to it, a goth feeling. Speaking of that, I don't know if any of you have watched Jessica Jones, but I did my hair and it's kind of turned, I think it kind of turned it a little bit like Jessica Jones. It's way darker than it normally is. So my husband was bugging me today saying I looked a little bit like Jessica Jones. Marco Polo has some fun costumes. Yeah, you guys have great Ripper Street and Petty Dreadful use the same sets. That's really interesting, Cindy. That's a cool thing. What's your favorite costume design set in a relatively modern period? Oh, that's such a great question, Courtney. I think one of them is the Grand Budapest Hotel. But is that contemporary? I loved it. Let me think what else I really, really liked. Snowpiercer. But that's probably, again, sort of science fiction, so I'm not sure if that's considered contemporary. The Hunger Games. I really like that. Trying to think of something else. Westworld, which you've got the contemporary and you've got the historical. I'll have to think more on that, guys. Say what you think about the Star Wars prequels, but the costumes were undeniably beautiful. Yeah, they were. They were really great. But my absolute favorite in Star Wars would be the costumes from the original two, because like Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars, because it's the same. It's John Mallow as the costume designer, and he sort of set the tone for the whole thing, I think, along with Ralph McQuarrie, who is this amazing concept artist. Oh my God, Wes Anderson's color palettes are adorable. They are. They're amazing. So Grand Budapest Hotel, I just thought it was just fantastic. I'm kind of getting into some of the Marvel thing. You know, guys, I don't know if any of you read comics. I'm not really a comic book person, but I'm starting to get more into the Marvel universe. So for instance, Thor, I thought was amazing. I love the director on that, and the costumes were really great. And there's this one guy, I've just been reading about him. He's this concept artist guy, and he's come up with pretty much majority of the concepts for all these major, movies. He's a real talent. So that comes out of this one guy's sort of brilliant head. He comes up with the tactical, so in Black Panther, he designed that amazing suit that the Black Panther wore. So he comes up with a lot of that stuff. Where did I miss here? Legion is amazing. Yes, it is. I love the costumes in Legion. Great choice. That's pretty dark. I just started watching season 2, and it's kind of, I think what the idea with Legion is, it's supposed to be kind of like a dream. Like you feel like you're on acid or something, or you're in a dream on acid. Alexandra says, my dislike for Sansa, while I understand the purpose of her character, is very, very subjective. I mainly dislike Sansa for the same reasons Arya does, except I'm not her sister. Yeah, so Alexandra and I were talking about Sansa, so I just sort of felt, well, I guess what's happened is the difference is that with Sansa, I think things have happened to her, whereas maybe Arya has taken control of the situation. I think what I was saying, what my opinion was, is that I think they both have their own journey, and hopefully they'll arrive, at the same place. Not at the same place. They obviously are in the same place right now, but they have their own journey to kind of do and take them toward the end, and we'll see what happens. We don't know yet, right? What else have we got here? Have you seen The Expanse? Yes, I've seen The Expanse. I really loved it. It's actually shot here in Toronto, where I live. Lots of great shows shot here. And I love the costumes on that. And one of my favorite aspects of the show is the diversity of the cast. I think that's great. And this is something that we don't see enough, which is another reason why I loved American Gods, because it's a really diverse cast. And, I live in Toronto, so we're a really multicultural city. So when you see a cast that's not representative of that, it always seems odd to me. And Danielle says, I love Sansa. So fist bump to you there, Danielle. Okay, we'll give a thumbs up to Sansa from Danielle. Ryan, my nerding is probably, oh yeah, it might be Ryan. Let me check. I'm gonna look into that. I just started researching it, but he has a website and he has all of his concepts for the Marvel movies on there, and just the amazing amount of detail. It's crazy. And I Am Dow Jones also loves Sansa. Aw, she's one of my favorite characters. Arya, not so much. Laugh out loud. Well, Arya, Arya's been through, she's had a bit of a rough time there. I'm messing with you, said the Justin Thomas Show. What is your opinion of the costumes in The Fifth Element? Oh my God. Well, I have a video on it, and if you watch it, you know that I effing love it. Like, sorry, I'm going to swear here. I fucking love it. It's amazing. And it's Luc Besson is the director, and the Jean-Paul Gaultier is the costume designer. And then the two concept artists on that are these two amazing French comic book artists, comic book writer artists. I think they're the illustrator, I think you would call them. And so they're really, really well known, and they were hired to do the concepts, and then Luc Besson came on to do the costumes. So yeah, it's, to me, it's like the perfect design of a movie, the perfect, absolute perfect. And I just saw the recent one that they just did, which is one of the illustrators, the comic book guys. Unfortunately, it wasn't that great of a movie, but if you guys like Rihanna, she is amazing in it, and there's an amazing scene within it. So for that alone, I think it was worth watching it. And maybe someone can put in the chat what the name of the movie is, because I can't remember, because I'm 51 now, guys. Sorry. I didn't say I'm particularly proud to be resentful or being good at holding grudges. Aw. Alexandra's okay. That's fine. We're not holding that against you at all, Alexandra. You can have your opinion as Sansa. We're not going to hold that against you. Killa Boo Boo. So do you live streams a lot? No, this is my first one. This is my very first live stream, and it took me a while to do this because I've been doing voiceovers on all of my shows. So basically, I build it on my laptop. And I didn't have to have a chair. Like, I just got this chair. I call it my evil lair chair. It's like white, kind of like, you know, Dr. Evil. And then my partner, you know, set this thing up for me. I've got my sewing machine here. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've got a little piece of Outlander tartan fabric in there. And then this little flower here is actually scissors. I got this at Fabricland, which is a fabric store in Canada. And I love it. I got one for my son too. So basically it looks like a flower in a flower pot, but you pull it out and it's actually scissors. It's so cool. So this is my sewing machine. I actually use it. And yeah, and then so it took a while, and plus the lighting and everything, I had to get it all to. Oh, yes. Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Thanks, Jamie. That's what the movie is called. So I wonder what Jamie thought of that movie. It wasn't the best movie. It's Luc Besson, and it's based on a French comic book, and apparently it was the inspiration for Star Wars, although George Lucas will deny that. So it's the difference, BW, the tomboy and the wannabe princess. Okay, I don't know what that's about. Oh, okay, she's talking about Sansa and Arya. Well, guys, you know, and also we can, if you want, like, let me know. If you want, we could do a live stream just talking about Game of Thrones costumes, because most of my videos are about Game of Thrones, and we're going to be coming up to season 8 in January. I think it's January, or 2019 at any rate. So hopefully we'll be able to, you know, do some streaming talking about Game of Thrones and just Game of Thrones. But today it's sort of just a general thing, guys, right? Have you ever seen the movie Tale of Tales? It has such great costumes and set pieces. No, Aaron, I haven't seen it. Is it British? Oh, Justin's so sweet. He said, and she's killing it. Oh, do you mean me? Justin, do you mean me? Justin's going to come on here, and we're going to have a live stream together. I'm so excited. Him and Robert from Indie Geek, and then we can just all geek out together, because we're all just really nerds. We're all just kind of like film type nerds. Aaron says something was effed up. I would love a GOT stream, says I am Dow Jones. And I am Dow Jones. He's just like, I follow him on Twitter. He has the funniest tweets. Like, some of them I have to have them explained to me. I don't understand them. Like, it's like a little bit above my head. I don't know if it's a generational thing, but a lot of the funny thing is, I was looking at my stats, and the majority of the people who watch my videos are in their 20s and maybe 30s. So, like, I'm way older than them. So a lot of the humor I don't get. So that's sort of funny. I don't know, maybe, says Aaron. You need to do live streams as much as Jason. Yes, I'm going to start. I'm gonna start having a competition with Jason and trying to do as many live streams as he does, because that guy is like always live streaming. I think he's addicted to it. Like, it's kind of like crack for him, I think. I'm not even sure if he's here. Jason, if you're here, say hello. A Game of Thrones stream would be awesome, says Goddess. Yes, it would. Okay, so we'll work on that. The other thing I want to do, and let me know what you guys think. I was thinking of having some cosplayers on here. So I have one girl who's just, you know, she did my Aerosade video. You might have saw it, Kristen, and she's really she's a riot. She's from Detroit, which, if any of you in North America know, it's like a city. No, she's not. No, sorry, she's from Flint, Michigan. Sorry, she's from Flint, Michigan, which is where that director's from. You know, I can't remember his name because I told you guys I can't remember anything. This is why I have to write everything down, because I can't remember. Oh, we have love your channel. Greetings from Peru. S4MS3P1. Is that 101? Oh, well, thank you so much. I love it when I get people who are from different parts of the world and are saying hello, and especially in the videos, I sometimes get people who are like from Costa Rica. I get people from England, obviously. I get people from Germany, from Spain, Japan. It's always really exciting. Majority of people are from America. And the funny thing is, the people from Canada, they could kind of give a crap about me. But Canadians, we're kind of odd. We're a little bit odd. Australians are also really lovely. Michael Moore, yes. Michael Moore is from... What would I do without you guys? Michael Moore is from Flint, Michigan, and that is where Kristen is from. And she's this crazy cosplayer. I swear to God, she like kind of wears her cosplay to work. Like, she takes pictures of herself and then she goes to work in her cosplay, either her Outlander cosplay, but she also does Game of Thrones. She did this amazing Melisandre Game of Thrones. Her husband dresses up as well. And she just is a riot. She's so funny. So I'm like, I have to have her on. And she actually, her hair is kind of the same color as mine. So it would be kind of cool because we would look like bookends or something, you know? Yes, you need to start a stream war with Jason for sure. Okay. Well, I don't know where he is. The challenge is on. I'm dropping the gauntlet. Is it the gauntlet? And then Jason and I were having a bit of a war yesterday because I was using rad, you know, because I'm of that generation, and then he started using rad, and I told him and Owen Video that they couldn't use rad because that's my word. So then they said they were just going to use it even more now. So now I've decided that I'm not using rad anymore. So I think I'm going to use maybe something like gnarly or bitchin'. Okay, so from now on you won't hear me say rad, Jason, if you're in the house. No, it's going to be bitchin'. You could do a live stream on anything. Just bring a bunch of reference photos and we could talk about them. It's true. So today, as my first live stream, my husband was like, here, do you want to have some visuals? And I'm like, you want me to talk and do visuals at the same time? That's impossible. So he figured out a way to do it for me. So what I think I'll do is next time I'll try to load up some visuals for you guys. And then, it'll, you know, rather than you just having to look at my face, I can actually show you like some slides or something. So just if you want to give me any suggestions, what I'll do is I'll go through the chat later and have a look at what you guys had to say. Okay. Totally off topic, says Jamie Hughes, but one of exams in school was about Michael Moore's film. So I'm a Moore fanboy. If you haven't seen any of his movies, seriously check them out. Yeah, they're awesome. They have, you know, they're not very good costume movies though, Jamie. So I wouldn't be able to review them, because Michael Moore basically wears a baseball cap and baggy trousers and like a hoodie or something. So it wouldn't be a good thing for this channel, but for sure he's a great documentarian. Bitchin', says Jamie. Okay. Chris Jericho, wrestler, rock singer, is from Winnipeg. Apologies if spelling is wrong. Canadians are awesome. I'm from the UK, says Danielle. Awesome. So yeah, I didn't live in Winnipeg that long. I only lived there for like 3 or 4 years. But if any of you have heard of Winnipeg, it's the coldest place in Canada, pretty much, next to the Northwest Territories. It's freezing. Like, you're crazy if you live there. But my brother still lives there, and I occasionally go and visit him, and he comes and visits us here. So even though we're in the middle of an ice storm, it's much worse there. Did you see Black Panther? Could you please do a video on their costumes? Yes, Goddess, I'm going to do a video on it for sure. And Dystopia Creations, hi, or it's DIY Dystopia. DIY Stopia is here. If you could live in the costumes of any show in your daily life, what would you pick? Oh, that's such a great question. Well, if Kristen was here, she would say she would live in Outlander, because she actually does that. She lives in Outlander. But, you know, it's funny. There's this really great show called 1800 House, where everyone was living dressed in 1800s costumes, and I think that I would probably choose that, because it didn't look too restrictive. I mean, some of them did wear corsets and so on, but I think you could get away without wearing one, and that would probably be the only thing I wouldn't want to live in, is a corset. Even though a lot of people think they're sexy and beautiful, I just don't think I could wear one. I hate that. Like, I hate having anything restrictive like that. I like to be comfortable. So let's say the 1800s, late 1800s, you know, when they started to move out of corsets. You just made the list. Hi, from Wales, says Jamie Hughes. Oh, he's talking to Danielle. Hey, I see you joined Jason's Discord. Yes, I did. So if you guys don't know what Discord is, this is how much I'm out of touch. I don't know anything about anything going on with young people. But there's this thing called Discord for gamers, and my son's been on it for like a year. I didn't even know. I'm a terrible parent. I didn't monitor him being on it. My husband probably knew about it, but it's a sort of a social media thing for gamers. But we recently started one up for some of the fellow creators I'm with. And what we all kind of like about it is it's sort of like an old school chat room. It's like a 1980s chat room, 1990s chat room. So we've all kind of taken to it. So I'm kind of really into Discord now. And Jason, doing it with Jason, has his own Discord. So I've joined that now. So that's how I've met some of these great people in the chat here. Oh, Courtney says, yes, the 1800s house was part of a series. There's also Frontier House, Pioneers Across America, Texas Range House, Cattle Ranching, and Victoria Slum House. Yeah, no, I don't think I'd want to live in the Victoria Slum House, Courtney. They're all made by PBS. Yeah, and they're like, so if you guys haven't seen it, it's really interesting. In Canada, it's on TVO, but in the States, it's on PBS. Maybe they have it on BBC in England. And basically, it's like these historians are the ones who, like, it's like a living museum. So they go and live in this house for like a year. There was also Victorian pharmacy, but it was really, really fascinating. So they were living and eating and farming and doing everything. Like they would take, you know, pee and then turn it into ammonia to clean with, like weird things like that. So they got the whole experience. Haley Marie says, I'm American. Hi, Haley. Well, most of my viewers are American, so welcome. Thank you so much. I'd like to dress like an Asgardian in the Thor movies, or if I was younger, Mad Max, says Danielle. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Mad Max, the costumes in that are awesome. Alexander, that's the good thing about fictional characters. We don't have to feel bad how we react to them. Yeah, that's a good point. You're right. You should have the right to hate some. Like, for instance, I kind of like hate Lori from The Walking Dead. I'm sure the actor who plays her is lovely and she's a nice person and everything, but she was so awful on The Walking Dead. And I know that Skylar from, you know, that one about drugs, she was really hated by the fans, but she's probably, you know, a perfectly lovely person in real life, right? Breaking Bad, guys, sorry. I also love Regency fashion, so the Regency House Party series by PBS was amazing. Well, that's really cool. I should look into that. Regency is a really nice period as well, says Courtney Yu. Leslie McMaster says, someone else asked, how do you feel about Colleen Atwood? I love her work. She's amazing. I have yet to do one of her movies. I will do one of her movies. The one that the only thing that I'm not crazy about is Alice in Wonderland, and I don't think that's anything to do with her. Like, I just didn't really take to it the same way I don't know, maybe it was Johnny Depp, the same way I didn't take to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's just kind of disturbing. So I preferred the original to that one. I gotta go watch PBS series, says Silvertongue. God, is Breaking Bad? Yes, Breaking Bad. Skylar from Breaking Bad. Poor Skylar, the mom on Breaking Bad. She apparently got hate mail from the viewers, which I always think is kind of a weird thing to do, to send hate mail to an actor playing a part. What else have we got here? Oh, hi, Dollar Dude. Hi, how are you? I answered your question already. It was like off the top, and I'm so glad you're here. But maybe you can go through later and watch it. Okay, I haven't seen Phantom Thread. I'm going to watch it. I usually, okay, I have 2 children. It usually takes me about 6, like once a movie comes out, it usually takes me anywhere from 3 to 6 months to see it. So I just saw the new Star Wars movie. That's how up to date I am. And the terrible thing is that my kids don't like Star Wars, which is awful. I know. I can't even believe they're my own children. So they don't want to go see it. And so I have to wait until, you know, we have a babysitter or they're in school and we can go see it. So that's sort of how that happens. So Phantom Thread for sure. I will see it. It looks amazing. I think it's Paul Thomas Anderson is the director. So many new remakes are a nightmare. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. Aw, I'll have to watch it later, says Dollar Dude. Yeah. But I'm really glad you're here. It's really cool for you to come here. A lot of the people who are here today, by the way, I want to thank you so much, guys. Like, some people are my viewers, but some people are fellow creators that I've met. And the one thing I have to say about being a YouTuber, even a small YouTuber like I am, is what a generous, lovely community it is. And everyone in this community is so generous and caring. And like, I just got a nice note, for instance, from Robert from In Deep Geek today, just, you know, sort of trying to encourage me and make sure that I wasn't too nervous about today. So yeah, I want to just thank, what a wonderful community it is, honestly. Oh no, you have kids. Yes, Dollar Dude, Troy. I have two boys. I have a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they're probably in the other room right now. I asked them to keep quiet. I said, please, Mommy's going to stream, and if you can try and be a bit quiet. And no, they both have YouTube channels. They started before me. So my 12-year-old has one on gaming, and he wants to become a game designer. He just actually did a game that he uploaded to some platform. And then my youngest one has a plushie channel. So they're both into YouTube. And then my husband is a techie guy. He does that for a living. So it's sort of like a crazy household. We're always on some type of electronic device in this house. It's a little bit nuts. So Danielle says, it's reality TV and not like a series or a movie, but have you seen any of the outfits on... Oh, no, you know what? I haven't seen RuPaul's Drag Race. I saw something about it recently, and I was like, what is this show? But I heard it's crazy. Yeah, I should definitely check that out. Some of the costume are costume-based and really fantastic, in my opinion. That says Danielle says that. Thank you for all your work, says Goddess. Aw, my pleasure. What about Once Upon a Time? Okay, so I saw Once Upon a Time. We watched the first 3 seasons, and I am planning on doing... I'm going to do a video on Regina, for sure. I have to. Her stuff is amazing, and I like the actor as well, and I think it's kind of a nice nuanced character. It's not like a black and white bad lady character. So I should do that. It's on my list. I can't wait for North Carolina's Hero Con. I'm not sure what that is. And someone asked me if I ever watched Drag Race. Haley, that may be the death of Heidi. I'm not sure what that's about. I live for Drag Race. RuPaul's Drag Race is one of my favorite shows. Okay, so you guys seem to really like it, eh? I have to check it out. So is there any other questions? You guys got anything else you want to talk about? Also, if you have any suggestions for future live streams, let me know, and we can. I'm gonna make some notes about that, about future shows. So, like for instance, oh, and the other thing is, I'm going to be doing more on location. So I'm trying to do more on location, some more like external interviews and stuff like that. So I've only done a few. It's just been sort of crazy. I just sort of show up and like attack people and say, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And they are, they probably think I'm nuts, which I am a little bit. So, oh, have you seen NBC's Hannibal? No, but the show creator, the showrunner of that, I'm pretty sure is the same one who does American Gods. The set design is amazing and crazy, and the outfits they pick for Hannibal Lecter are borderline insane. Yeah, and that actor, I think he's German or Dutch or something. That actor, I really like him. I was talking about Once Upon a Time. Oh, Aaron says I was talking about Once Upon a Time. When he said, what was he saying there? Dragula is even more creative than Drag Race, but you have to get over the gore and filth part of the show. Oh my God, what is that? Alexander, what channel is that on? Where is that? Had a great question before. In your opinion, what movie show has had the best representation of ancient Egyptian clothing? Well, I'm actually, it's funny because I actually did a video on Game of Thrones where I was talking about Egyptian clothing, because in Marine there's quite a bit of Egyptian style clothing. So I did kind of get into that, but I'm just trying to think. And they did have Egyptian a little bit also in American Gods. But let me think about that. I know that, I don't know if you guys have seen Stargate, the original Stargate movie. They have really great Egyptian costumes in that. Of course, there's Cleopatra, which I don't know that it's historically accurate. You have to realize back then they would hire a white actor to play an Egyptian person. So it was sort of like a weird sort of thing that they did there. Yes, Dragula is amazing on YouTube. What else have we got here? Ever thought about putting together an outfit from scratch and filming the process? Well, I did think about it. You know, that's Dollar Dude. I did think about it. I thought about maybe doing a tutorial, but part of what it is that I don't want to, you probably know this because I want to kind of keep to a niche. I kind of want to keep it into the analysis part, so I don't want to get too much into doing tutorials. And there are other people who kind of do that, like cosplayers who do that. So I'd rather, if I'm going to do that, I'd rather just interview a cosplayer about it, or, you know, get them to do a video where I would show it. Like, for instance, Kristen I was mentioning, who, you know, I've met like this group of about 12 cosplayers who that's what they do. So I thought that might be a better way to go about it. And because I have these crazy kids, it's really, really hard for me to have a proper space to work out of and so on. So I just can't really do it right now. So I'm going to, not for the moment, I won't. It doesn't mean that I might not do it in the future though. Oh yeah, Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah, fantastic actor. He's also on, the one about, oh my God, you guys. He's also, I feel like Brian G. Johnson here. He's also, oh yeah, love Stargate. He's also on the one about the president, the one where the guy got fired recently. He was on that. He played the president of Russia, if you guys might know. I'm Lindsay from Twitter. Hi, Lindsay. Oh, that's Haley Marie. Is Lindsay from Twitter. I answered your question, Lindsay. Did you hear it? What? I think it was the last one. No, it wasn't the last one. It was the second one. It was the second question. I answered your question. So you might have to watch it on the replay. Rome has some great costumes, including Egyptian, but of course not ancient. Yeah. Silver Tongue, you are right. And he is way hot. I don't know who she's talking about. Oh, Mads, yes. For an older person. They have some Rome era costumes on Rome with Cleopatra, but I can't recall them very well. Boulet Brothers Dracula. Laugh out loud. They still do white people playing other ethnic groups. Yeah, it's really annoying. I really hate it, actually. And so we're starting to just see a change in that. So, but it's really funny because when sometimes when I go and do research on something, I go back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like Ava Gardner in Ragtime, is it Ragtime? What's the one about the boat? Showboat. You know, she's playing a mixed woman and she's like white. You know, she's supposed to be mixed, but she's not. Rome and Peaky Blinders, please. They both have great costumes. Okay, so I haven't seen Rome, but I've watched one episode of Peaky Blinders. Is that okay? I'm currently rewatching Rome on Amazon Prime. It was an HBO miniseries taking place in ancient Rome, Egypt. Have you seen it? If so, what did you think of the costumes? Okay, yeah, I haven't seen it. So, I'll look into that. I'll add it to my list. Tanya said, thank you, House of Cards. That's what Mads was on it, who plays Hannibal Lecter, who is Mads Mikkelsen, I think. Pretty Dark says, Courtney, if there is stunt work, I suggest building a false foundation garment made to somewhat approximate the look of the real ones. So there must be some conversation going on there about doing stunt work. Jamie Hughes, one of the movies I saw last year where the costumes really stuck out to me was The Death of Stalin. Oh, that movie looks great. No, I haven't seen it, but I really want to see it. It's kind of campy, right, Jamie? Sort of a campy telling of that story. Aaron LaFay, you want to talk about whitewashing and Egypt, go watch Gods of Egypt. It is a train wreck, but nice costumes. Yeah. So I'm really hoping this is changing. Like, so for instance, American Gods, I was so thrilled. That show is a very diverse, diverse show. They have a lead that is African-American male. Actually, he's British. They have, the cast is very diverse. And they also have LGBT characters, which is great. Same with The 100, actually, they do too. So I'm really glad to see that type of representation happening in these shows. Yeah, and Goddess says The Death of Stalin is hilarious. Laugh out loud. Yes, thanks. Thanks, Haley. It was House of Cards. Okay, guys, so I think I'm probably going to wrap this up. I really appreciate everyone coming. Wow, I had such a great turnout. You guys are the best. Like, seriously. 30-Day Review says, to put together and talk about costumes and layers and such, you could use paper dolls. Well, you know, it's funny, 30 Days. Actually, some of my viewers, they do these like I don't know what the scale is. I don't know if any of the doll makers are here, but they do sort of small scale dolls, and then they do these costumes from different shows and movies on the dolls, and it's pretty, like, they'll do like Sansa Stark, or they'll do like Dany from Game of Thrones. They do a series of them. They do Once Upon a Time, and it's just like, it's incredible. And then they sell them, but the detail in these dolls is just unbelievable. So for sure, American Gods is so visually delicious. Absolutely, Danielle. I loved it. Like, it's, you know, a big thumbs up for me on that one. Okay. Oh, thanks, Chrissy. She says, great stream. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to sign off. I really appreciate everyone coming. And so for all of my viewers, that's so awesome. So guys, so I'm on Twitter, and and that's a really great, if you want to reach out to me, that's a really great place to reach out to me. I'm really active on Twitter. I'm on Facebook as well. And of course I'm on YouTube, because you're here. You probably know that. And now I'm on, and I'm on Instagram. Like, I joined Instagram. I totally suck at it. I don't know what I'm doing there because I'm an old person. But hey, if you want to find me on Instagram as well, that would be awesome. So, okay, so I have the stream right now as of Saturday, but I'm probably going to have it on a Sunday. I don't know if that's better for you guys. I was thinking I have to be careful because, you know, that's that's going to be Game of Thrones night or Westworld night. A lot of shows show that night. So I'm thinking I might do it 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. So if that works for you guys, I'll probably be doing like a weekly stream, and then trying to have guests on, like Justin. Hopefully, Justin, you're going to come on, right? He said he would, and he would help me with my OBS because I had to have someone help me with this today. Okay, guys, so thank you so much. So I'm signing off. Okay, so have a great weekend, everybody. And it was really nice meeting all of you virtually, and hope to get to know you a bit more in the future. Okay, so take care. Bye.